All right. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to this special live feed that we are going to have here today, talking about Hurricane Francine that's just now bearing down on Louisiana. You can see it here behind me on the screen on the weather radar. We have heavy rainfall, lightning already underway from Francine. Louisiana and the surrounding states like Texas, Mississippi, and Alabama and the Florida Panhandle have already been seeing impacts throughout the day today, and landfall is going to be happening later this afternoon into the early evening hours. So things are just going to ramp up as Francine does head for coastal Louisiana here over the next several hours. And you can see this very well defined eye on the weather radar. Let me double check to make sure you can see my arrow so we can follow along well here. Let's see. All right, perfect. So right here where you can see my cursor, we've got the eye of Hurricane Francine. It is moving towards the northeast, mostly northeastward into the Louisiana coastline here. And again, like I said, impacts have already been happening all day today so far. Heavy rainfall, plenty of lightning. You can see here the lightning showing up on the weather radar. I'll show you here very soon our lightning radar so you can see the lightning in real time happening here from Francine, and as well as the heavy cloud cover. You can see all of the clouds from Francine moving into just along I-30 down into Texas here, and then as well as, further up here into the south, we have a lot of cloud cover from Francine, and then additional rainfall happening here. We also have those of you who have been dealing with heavy rainfall here across the south, it's been pretty stubborn, the weather pattern that we've had here. There's been a stationary front that really has just sat still, and that continues to sit still and have its impacts in addition to Francine. So there's been a lot of rainfall in this area, and this is only adding more impacts as far as flooding goes as well. So we're going to talk about that today as we get into it here. So what I want to show you here right now is, like I said earlier, we have Hurricane Francine coming into coastal Louisiana. And let's talk about some things that you can use on your Weather and Radar app. If you don't already have it open, follow along with me. I will show you exactly where you can go, and you can get these resources and follow along, even if you're not being impacted by Hurricane Francine. But we have some great resources for you to keep an eye on the situation. And then in addition to that, always pay attention to any of your locality information as far as evacuations, curfews, and safety information like that. But these are additional resources that can help you make safety decisions and things like that, as well as we watch Hurricane Francine move into the coastline here. So, like I said earlier, we're going to be following along on the app here, and even just on my screen right now, we have. Let me pull it over. We have a notification sitting right on the app right now saying that we are live. And you can click right on that, and it will take you to a page that we love to call the task force. This means that we have this big event going on, so we've got all hands on deck covering this for you. So I want to show you what that looks like here real quick. Let's go to task force. All right, pull it up here on my screen, and you can see it right here. We have a hub that is located on the app as well as on our website. And what that shows is all of the resources that you can get from our app, and I'll go through them as we go through this live here today. The task force is all hands on deck as we provide the information that you can receive for Hurricane Francine and further storms that are going to be happening throughout this hurricane season, as we've got a couple of months to go still. What this shows right now, like we have this live feed that's going on right now, you can go right to it. In addition, though, we also have resources that you can go to in the app. We have our forecast update. We had meteorologist James West this morning put out a fresh forecast for Francine that you can look at right there. You get all the information you need. We have the weather radar feed. We have the live weather radar, which is what we started here. And you can see that easily. We have everything in Spanish as well. So share that with anybody who may not know that we actually have a Spanish channel on here. So we have all of the information available there as well. Alerts, and then we have how to turn on those alerts. All these resources that you can use for Hurricane Francine and further on down the road for any other storm system. So we talked about alerts and these products that we can offer you totally for free while you are monitoring Hurricane Francine to bring a peace of mind so that you can follow along with safety in mind. So let me show you here. Let's go to, I'm going to move this around on my screen so I can show you. All right. We have alerts going out. We have tropical storm, tropical alerts, hurricane alerts that will go right to your device. And people have been getting these for the past couple of days down in the Gulf Coast. These hurricane alerts will keep you updated. It'll show the impacts, like you can see here on the screen behind me. We've got gusts up to 50 miles an hour, rain to at least 2 inches, up to 2 inches in some spots for this area. This will show right on your app, so you can go right to it and you know exactly what's going to be happening in your area. You'll get that notification. So if you need to turn those on, if you haven't already, the way you do it is very simple. You go to the main menu in your app and you go to that, it's a little hamburger menu at the top left corner of your app. You go right to that and you just turn your notifications. These alerts are gonna give you the information that you need to stay up to date with what's going on with Hurricane Francine, and we're showing that already. We see the hurricane alerts already active. In addition to that, we have the weather radar, which I will show here in one moment. Here we are. You can tap on the weather radar just under that notification, like I showed you a little while ago, that we are live. The weather radar is going to be key in seeing that lightning, seeing that heavy rainfall, and seeing exactly where Francine is at this moment. And you can see any location as well. And we're going to click over to the wind radar too. The wind radar is what I'm going to show you the wind radar, because Francine's actually kind of a pretty storm on the wind radar here, because we've got such a tight circulation. Hurricanes rarely show this tight circulation, so you can see all the wind increasing as you go towards the center here. So you see those pink wind gusts that are showing up here on the wind radar. And you can click right on that and get to any area and see the wind gusts for that area. So let's get back to looking at Francine and what that looks like. So now that you've been introduced, you actually know what I'm talking about here, which will help you as we go about this live feed today. So Hurricane Francine is moving northeastward into the coastal region of Louisiana. And we see a lot of lightning happening. We see a lot of heavy rainfall and circulation happening from Hurricane Francine. Very textbook looking hurricane at this time, and a lot of cloud cover as well. Let's take a look at the wind gusts right now from Francine as it heads towards landfall. I'm going to bring that up here on the wind radar. Let's give it a moment to load. These wind gusts are really kicking up right now. I'm going to double check exactly where we're at as far as the winds for Francine, because it is a Category 1 hurricane at this time, which the category doesn't really matter, honestly. Damage is going to be done, unfortunately, because we've got nothing but wind. We got storm surge. We've got flooding happening, too. So the category, honestly, doesn't matter so much as the actual impacts that are going to be happening. So not something huge to pay attention to. However, winds are currently at sustained 90 miles an hour with higher gusts. There was an oil rig that just reported some 85 mile per hour winds as the center of Francine does get closer to Louisiana. So those winds are likely going to be increasing in that area as well. So it is bearing down. It is coming closer at this time. Go back here to get that information. Perfect. So you can see these gusts really kicking up on the wind radar and that circulation. These streamlines here are showing the circulation of Hurricane Francine, the counterclockwise motion, and the heaviest gusts are here towards the center. This is going to continue moving this way towards Louisiana. Let me go ahead and press play here so we can see its movement. And the wind gusts, as it does move closer to the coast, you're going to see those wind gusts increase throughout the afternoon and evening before it makes landfall. And the main impacts we're going to be seeing here are on its northeastern quadrant. The reason for that is just because that's where the winds are really shoving into the coastline, as you can see here, where we have the winds coming up out of the south and southeast pushing to the coastline. We're going to get a lot of storm surge from this due to that. Storm surge essentially is just water being pushed inland, and it can go very far inland. It can go as far as several miles inland if hurricanes are strong enough. So this we have seen a lot of storm surge warnings already out from Hurricane Francine, and impacts are already being seen due to that. These are some very low-lying areas. These little islands in the coastal areas of Louisiana are very low-lying, at sea level or maybe just below sea level. So storm surge is going to be a big issue in these areas. All right, let's go to the lightning radar, like I mentioned before, because this is pretty interesting to see just how active Hurricane Francine is. So the lightning radar is showing the current lightning in the last 15 minutes, as well as any new lightning that's going to be, that has happened. You'll see the lightning strikes happen on here. So the lightning that's happening is from all of this convection, which is just upward motion in the hurricane. And what that means is there's a lot of instability. We know that, right, from the hurricane. A hurricane is instability. So we are seeing a lot of lightning from this hurricane, and it's moving into the northern portions of the Gulf as well as coastal Louisiana. So lightning issues as well we're going to be seeing throughout the day, and you can watch this right on your Weather and Radar app. All right. I'm going to double check to see if we have any questions. Please feel free to drop questions throughout this live. I'm happy to answer them. Perfect. And, let people know, if you know of anybody who is in this area that may not know that we are live, send them the link. Quickly send them the link and then send them to the Weather and Radar app, right? Because they'll be able to click right on that notification that will show up on their screen and come right to us so we can get all the latest information to them. All right, let's go ahead and go to the impacts that we are going to see, certain warnings that are out by the officials at this time. So let me pull this up. All right. So here we have the projected cone here, the cone of uncertainty, as the hurricane does move into the coast. So it is expected to stay a hurricane as it does make landfall later this afternoon and evening into Louisiana, and then move in a northeastward, then turning north trajectory over the next several days. And with this cone, it's important to remember that this does not mean it's going to stay in the center portion of this. This means that the center of the hurricane or storm or depression, whatever it turns into as it moves inland, what that means is that the center of it will be anywhere on this cone. So impacts could be felt out here, up here, things like that. So just remember that this isn't an exact forecast of exactly where it's going to be. It's an idea of where we're thinking it's going to be. So this is the trajectory of Hurricane Francine as it's moving inland. What we're going to see as far as impacts, as they're already being seen, we've got heavy rainfall coming in from Francine. We've got a moderate risk across Louisiana and southern Mississippi here. And what that means is we're going to be seeing scattered to numerous flood reports across this area. And like I said earlier, remember we have that stationary front that's been sitting here for quite a long time, dropping rainfall over the last couple of weeks. And so the ground's pretty saturated. So we've got a hurricane moving into that exact same area where we're going to be seeing some flash flooding in addition to the flooding issues that comes from the storm surge as well and the rainfall. So the ground's saturated. It can't hold too much water at this time. Now we got a hurricane coming through. So you're going to want to really pay close attention to any flooding issues in the area. If you got a low-lying home, especially on the coast there, many of you have already been taking precautions in moving any furniture up off the ground floor or putting it away. Any valuables, things like that. So that's been a big thing for this area. It's just the rainfall that we've been seeing for the last several days. So now we got a hurricane in addition to that, on top of that. So flooding is going to be an issue. And this is scattered throughout the next 24 hours. We could see impacts all the way up to the Midwest, even west into eastern Texas, and then over into the southeast coast, where we could see some scattered flooding. So be sure to keep an eye on that as this storm continues. All right, we talked about storm surge as well. Biggest storm surge, and storm surge, it's just a wall of water moving inland because of the winds and being pushed against the coastline. So we're going to see 5 to 10 feet of storm surge. And from what I recall, that Hurricane Rita back in 2005, that caused in some places 8 feet of storm surge, and we're forecasting that National Hurricanes has it out for up to 10 feet of storm surge in some of these spots, possibly going past Hurricane Rita. So 10 feet of storm surge is a lot of water coming into this area that you're going to want to really keep an eye out for. Those of you who are along the coastline, I know there have been voluntary and mandatory evacuations scattered in these spots. Do take caution. If you've already left, great. If you've not, please continue to take caution as the storm surge does move in. And the storm surge warnings go from all the way from Freeport, Texas, into the Florida Panhandle here. So we could see up to 2 feet, Florida Panhandle up to 3 feet in southeastern Texas here, but then, starting at 3 feet across Louisiana and into coastal Mississippi as well. So storm surge is going to be coming in. It's already coming in, and we're going to be seeing that as the storm makes its way onto land this afternoon and evening. In addition to all of that, if that wasn't enough, we also have a severe weather issue going on here with Hurricane Francine. So when it comes to severe weather in these spots, we're looking for tornadoes. And the areas where we're going to see the most spin-ups could be across the southeastern portions of Louisiana, coastal Mississippi, and all the way into the Florida Panhandle here, where we could see spin-ups from Hurricane Francine, either starting as waterspouts or just starting on land as tornadoes from this hurricane as it does move in. So tornadoes, in addition to the gusty winds, the heavy rainfall, and the storm surge, on top of that. So you're going to want to have at least 3 ways to receive a weather warning if you're in these areas. If you're already in coastal Louisiana and Mississippi now, I know you've already gotten a lot of warnings about the hurricane. In addition to that, you're going to be seeing some severe weather warnings possibly come into the area as Francine does make its way onto land. All right, I'm going to wrap up here. I'm going to double check for any questions, but I want to go over real quick what you can see on your Weather Radar app. Let's see. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the Weather Radar very quickly. And we'll go right back to it. So you can see the Weather Radar right on your app. Again, we've got Hurricane Francine just sitting here off the coast of Louisiana. It's going to move into this area here later this afternoon to the early evening hours and make landfall. So again, impacts are already being seen. We've got heavy rainfall. These rain rates too. You can see the heavier the rainfall, the darker the color, and even get into the purple. That's what shows on the Weather Radar here, as you can see the heavier rainfall downpours happening here as it gets into Louisiana here. And the Gulf is very warm, and what that provides is a lot of energy for Francine to take advantage of and push more and more moisture into these states here that are going to be receiving a lot of rainfall. So it's got a lot to work with, which is why we're going to be seeing really heavy rainfall rates and why we're going to be seeing these heavy downpours and then resulting in likely some flooding in several areas here across the south, the Gulf Coast here. So again, make sure you have your at least 3 ways to receive these weather warnings. Have your alerts switched on in your app. They're there for you for a reason, to be able to give you all the information that you need so that you can get up-to-date information at all times. And we have the task force going. We are going to be having it through tomorrow as we watch these impacts that are happening. You can get the updates there as well. And just make sure that you have all of those ways to receive warnings for your area as well. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Stay safe. And we'll be here as Francine does make its impacts. Thank you so much.